Do you ever feel that kind of exhaustion, where it's not your body that's heavy, but your mind? You wake up tired even after sleep, not because you've done too much, but because your mind won't stop turning over itself. You're tired of thinking, tired of analyzing people, replaying conversations, trying to make sense of your past, your choices, your place in all of this. It's not physical fatigue, it's the fatigue of existing in constant explanation mode. You carry questions the way others carry weight. Why did it happen? What did I do wrong? What does it mean? And every answer you find seems to open 10 more. You fall asleep inside loops and wake up inside questions, hoping one day something will finally click. That one perfect thought will make it all feel lighter. But deep down, you already know. It never really does. Because understanding and peace aren't the same thing. Sometimes the very chase for clarity is the reason you can't rest. It's not a flaw, it's conditioning. You were taught that knowing equals control, that if you could just figure it all out, you could finally stop running. But clarity doesn't always come from effort. Sometimes it arrives the moment you stop trying so hard to think your way through your own soul. The illusion of understanding. There's a quiet belief most of us carry without even realizing it, that if we can just understand everything, we'll finally be okay. If we can explain the pain, if we can trace the wound back to its origin, if we can label every emotion, every memory, every heartbreak, then maybe the ache will stop echoing. And so we go searching. We drown in self-help books, chase spiritual teachers, binge podcasts, all whispering that one missing answer away from calm. But the truth is, the mind can turn even peace into another puzzle. You sit in silence for a moment and it begins its ritual. What am I doing with my life? Why do I still feel this way? Shouldn't I be further by now? It doesn't mean you're broken. It means your mind was trained for survival, not for serenity. It was wired to over-explain, to predict, to analyze every outcome just to feel safe. But the cost is constant exhaustion. Because every time you try to rest, that voice pulls you back into loops of fixing, analyzing, rewriting. Like peace is a test you keep failing because you can't find the right equation. But what if peace was never meant to be solved? What if it's not something you win through effort, but something that quietly appears when you stop fighting yourself? You're tired because you spent years carrying the weight of needing to understand everything at once, as if rest is something you must deserve by thinking your way into it. But your worth has never lived in your ability to make sense of life. It's in your ability to breathe, to exist, to simply be, without demanding a reason from every moment. The pressure to heal everything. There's this unspoken pressure woven into our culture that you can't rest until you've healed everything. That peace is a prize you get after you've unpacked every wound, understood every trigger, forgiven every past version of yourself. So you postpone your peace. You tell yourself, once I figure out why I am this way, I'll let myself relax. Once I understand what the universe is trying to teach me, I'll finally calm down. But the truth is that finish line doesn't exist. The mind will always find one more piece to chew on, one more shadow to analyze, one more why to solve before it allows you to breathe. Because the mind was built to survive, not to surrender. It's designed to keep you scanning for problems, to make safety something you have to earn through control. But freedom doesn't come from mastering every answer. It comes from releasing the belief that you need them to be whole. And maybe you've already felt that freedom, those strange, fleeting moments when everything is still messy, yet something inside you feels calm anyway. That's not ignorance, that's presence. It's the part of you your thoughts can't reach, the space where your mind finally gives up trying to fix what was never broken. The endless chase for clarity. Even when the answers come, they never stay. You have a moment of relief, the story makes sense, the dots connect, and for a second, everything feels aligned. But it fades, doesn't it? Because the moment one mystery is solved, another one takes its place.
The rhythm of the thinking mind. It can't rest in completion. It always needs another puzzle to chew on. You decode one part of yourself and immediately move to the next. A new pattern, a new wound, a new explanation for why peace still feels far away. It's endless. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because you were taught that healing is a ladder. That the more insight you collect, the closer you get to peace. But peace isn't waiting at the top. It isn't earned through breakthroughs or measured by awareness. It happens quietly, in the space between your thoughts, when you stop turning your soul into a self-improvement project, when you stop analyzing every feeling and finally allow yourself to feel it. Sometimes the bravest thing isn't to explain your pain, but to sit with it, raw and wordless. Because the more you chase clarity, the further you drift from the moment that's asking to be lived, not solved. The overthinking trap. Think about how much energy you've spent just trying to feel okay. Not happy, not inspired, just okay. You replay scenes, search for reasons, wait for the perfect realization to give you permission to rest. But the more you analyze, the further you drift from your body. You start living entirely in your head, a floating mind detached from the ground beneath your feet. You try to think your way into peace when peace has only ever lived in feeling. You scroll through advice, repeat mantras, collect wisdom like souvenirs. When it doesn't work, you blame yourself. But overthinking isn't a lack of awareness, it's too much of it. You've spent so long observing and decoding that you forgot how to simply be. Your body's been whispering for you to come back, in the tension in your shoulders, in the breath you hold without noticing, in the stillness you rush to fill. You don't need another theory, you need presence, the warmth of air moving in and out of your lungs, the sound of life continuing, even when your mind goes quiet. Because peace isn't the end of thought, it's the moment you stop mistaking thought for truth. Remembering the you beneath it all. Beneath all the noise, there's a version of you that was never lost. The one who trusts her emotions without dissecting them, who feels sadness without calling it failure, and joy without needing a reason. She's been there the whole time, quiet, steady, waiting beneath the surface. But you forget her when you treat healing like homework, when you mistake understanding for wholeness. This deeper self doesn't speak in logic. She speaks through sensation, through stillness. She doesn't care if you have all the answers. She just wants you to come home to her, to the simplicity of being human without turning it into a theory. Sometimes growth isn't expansion, it's silence. It's realizing you were never broken, just buried under layers of figuring it out. The art of allowing mystery. You've been taught to fear what you can't explain, to fill silence with meaning, to label every feeling before it can settle. But maybe the point was never to name everything. Maybe it was to stand inside mystery without feeling unsafe. Mystery isn't emptiness, it's aliveness. It's the reminder that life is bigger than your understanding of it. The mind's relief always fades. That's its nature, to question, to measure, to compare. But your soul was built for something deeper than certainty. It was built to experience. You don't have to make sense of every ache. Sometimes what feels like confusion is just the space before clarity arrives. And sometimes clarity never does, not because you missed it, but because you didn't need it. There's a quiet freedom in letting moments be, in listening to the pauses instead of translating them. Maybe the most spiritual act isn't decoding life, but allowing it to stay mysterious. Trusting that even when you don't understand, you're still exactly where you need to be. The mind that tries to carry it all. The mind is a storyteller that doesn't know when to stop. It becomes a historian, replaying the past, a psychic, predicting the future, and a critic, judging you for not having it all figured out. No wonder you're tired. You've been living with a mind that believes it must carry everything, every mistake, every possibility, every answer. It doesn't trust that life can hold itself, so it tries to hold it all for you. But you were never meant to be the historian of every hurt, the fortune teller of every tomorrow, or the judge of your own becoming. You were meant to live, to breathe, to let some things remain unwritten, uncertain, unresolved. The real source of exhaustion. You're not tired because you've failed. You're tired because you've been fighting the natural flow of life, trying to hold the river still with your bare hands. But life isn't meant to be controlled. It's meant to be moved through. The more you fight to make every moment make sense, the more the current drags you under. When you stop fighting, even for a breath, everything shifts. The water doesn't drown you anymore. It carries you. And in that surrender, you realize it was never about figuring everything out. It was about learning how to float in the mystery, returning to trust. So here you are. After all the loops and questions, you've exhausted every answer your mind could create, and still the world goes on. The sky still opens, the air still moves through your lungs. This is where trust begins, not as a grand revelation, but as a softening, a loosening of your grip on what must be known, a gentle return to the space beneath the noise. Trust doesn't need proof. It only asks for your presence. To breathe, to feel, to simply be. You don't have to earn rest through answers, because you were never meant to carry it all. You were meant to live inside the mystery, to let it hold you the way the ocean holds every wave. Let your shoulders drop. Let the questions be unanswered. Let your mind finally rest in the arms of the moment. Peace isn't waiting at the end of clarity. It's here, right now. In the rhythm of your breath, in the quiet knowing that you are already enough.